So we've got Engineer Simbi Wabote, who is the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Content Development and Management Board, to talk us through the new thinking, what the agency intends to do with a conference bringing everybody together in the oil and gas when it comes to local content. But of course, this is not really new. The government is always focusing on how to get more Nigerians and companies to be part of the oil and gas industry. And he's live here in the studio to talk to us. Good morning. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, good morning, Wilson.
Yes, we appreciate your time. Now, what's really new from your agency? Your agency is not new,
Yep.
but what is new?
I think what is new is this opportunity fair we're trying to organize on the 29th and 30th of March in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. The theme of the fair, which is the advancing indigenous participation in the oil and gas industry for the development of national development. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board will be hosting that event. This event is the first of its kind, like I said, in the industry, which of course will expect participation of government agencies, regulators, operators and project promoters.
A quick one. I'm going to point to that. Why is it the first? Why does it take long to hold such an event?
Very good question. I think when I assumed office in 1st of November, I realized that we have operated the Local Content Act for almost 6 years. So I had to take stock to say, where are we today? How far have we moved in terms of local content development? And then one of the early discoveries of that process is that most investors in the oil and gas industry, indigenous investors, focus on the short-term opportunities without looking at the long-term opportunities because they don't have those information. And then when they are not able to, after the short-term opportunity, most of their yards become fallow because they don't know what the industry has got in the next 5 to 10 years. So this forum provides an opportunity where all the project promoters, upstream, downstream, midstream, will come and talk about the projects that they have and the brownfield operations that they have in the next 5 to 10 years. That way, investors will then know where to put their money, because we saw the danger in that when the oil price crashed. And most of those projects that were tailored towards short-term investment couldn't progress further. They had to, some of them went bankrupt, some of them went under. But if they knew what the operations are for the next 5 to 10 years, they would tailor their investments to those opportunities. So that's why it's new in our operation.
Part of what you met on ground when you took office in November, do you think this agency has lived up a little bit to his billings or his act over the few years it's been established?
Of course. The agency has moved the needle a great deal. Before we came on board in 2010, the local content participation by Nigerians was put at 3% because the country depended on revenue and taxes from oil and gas activities. But with the advent of the Local Content Board, we've been able to move the needle to a great deal. Today, you have about 30% local participation in the oil and gas industry. And our objective is to move that to 70% within the shortest possible time.
No, I don't like shortest possible time. I like definite time. So give me time.
Within the next 10 years.
10 years.
Within the next 10 years.
I'm just going to mark it down.
Within the next 10 years, we take it to 70% local participation in the oil and gas industry.
Okay. So that means we'll be able to create more jobs. Would government revenue move up? What are the moving pillars within this period and this target you set?
Indeed, like you said, the objective is to create more jobs, get Nigerians employed. Part of the objective is also to ensure that we retain most of the foreign reserves because we spend a lot of money in the oil and gas industry depleting our foreign currency. But if these businesses are run by Nigerians, be rest assured that we will save that money to a large extent, we'll create employment, and to a large extent will address some of the agitations of the communities who stay around the oil-bearing communities in the Niger Delta. That way you put them to work, you enable them participate, and will to a large extent address the restiveness that you see in the Niger Delta.
The Vice President's been moving in the Niger Delta region over the last few weeks and a few months, and has been moving with the peace deal. Are you part of that? How does that fit into what your agency has been doing in that region?
Very much so. Like you know, this agency reports to the Honorable Minister of State, and in all the tours, the Minister has been with the Vice President. Most of the takeaways from those discussions and those demands from the communities are fed back into the local content board, and then we in turn try to develop strategies on how to address some of those challenges.
Now this conference, sitting together with the oil companies, what's the thinking of the international oil agencies and oil services that are foreign firms seeing this content development and management board pushing the frontiers, getting Nigerians into the deep end of the business and not just their overseas fortes all these years?
Very good question. When this started, it was a bit of, there was some bit of resistance from the international oil and gas companies. Very much so because the oil and gas business is very safety critical, and it's also, cost is also an issue, and also competencies and capacity of local businesses to deliver the desired service. So they had that apprehension at the beginning of this, but today a lot of them have embraced the local content philosophy as a whole, because ultimately it does reduce cost. Ultimately it ensures and secures, gives you supply guarantees, because you have the local businesses around. Even in terms of turmoil, they are still there to provide those services. So these days they embrace it. But of course, they still want to pursue their objective, which is, of course, safety and cost. And I think there are numerous examples where local content is able to bring down cost in most of their operations and in most of their projects. So it's something they embrace, but of course, they need to get the best out of it. So we are working hand in hand for quite some time now. Most of the oil companies all have local content departments within their outfit. And those local content departments within their outfit have been able to guide the organization such that they embrace local content as professed by the board itself.